Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here for our first lesson in Masters, our very first international edition. We will today go over an introduction to blockchain, also with the permission and permissionless blockchain, and the different consensus algorithm. We will also see blockchain from a business perspective. And today we have with us Miguel Peco. He is the business developer director at Blocknative. He will be with us for the whole lesson. And nothing, welcome for those that don't know me. My name is Beatrice and I'm from Masters team. So without any further ado, Miguel, I leave the floor to you. Perfect, thank you again.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Beatrice and Master team. Thank you for this opportunity. Okay, guys, as Beatrice was saying, I'm Miguel Peco from Blocknative. I'm the business director. A little bit of background of myself. I've been working for KPMG consulting firm for more than 12 years. Later on, I went to the finance. I was working in a bank, and I decided to change all my life, my professional career. I did a digital transformation master. And I got in love with the blockchain technology. And here I'm going to try to explain in a class with two different modules. I'm not a technical guy. I'm a blockchain lover from a business perspective. I'm going to try to explain a little bit of an introduction of the blockchain, and later on, we will go for a business perspective with real use cases that we are working on the market in Blocknative, and also different real use cases that they are in the market in different countries or different sectors. I need to share my screen, please.
Yes, you should be allowed to do so. Can you try to?
Okay. I cannot, sorry. That's why.
1 second. Very strange.
Says host disable participant screen sharing.
Go ahead and try it.
Now, yes. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, then Beatrice, please, can you confirm that you are watching properly the screen?
Yes. Is there any chance that you can put it on full screen?
Yeah, sure. Then that's why. Screen one. I want to screen one. Yes, why not? Okay, this you will cut it, no? Okay, well, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, here. Why is going to screen two? Okay. Screen two. Okay, we do like this. And now it's okay. Am I right?
Yes, awesome.
Okay, then guys, as I was saying here, I'm going to introduce you a little bit of blockchain in two different blocks. Okay, one is a little bit of introducing blockchain, as I say, and the second one, businesses, real cases. I think it's the most important thing that you will see along the course. Blockchain is a technology very interesting, but you cannot use for whatever use case. I mean, it needs to happen specific things in order to decide to use this kind of technology. Okay, what is blockchain? Okay, blockchain, I'm going to give you two different definition, a more technical one, and an example. I think it's going to be very easy to understand. Blockchain, as you can see, is a peer-to-peer layer system that allows peers to transact between them. That means that different peers is going to have the same information, and everything is going to happen, everything is going to be registered, and the information is going to fly from one peer to the second peer, and is going to be certified. Though peer network is completely decentralized, I mean, those peers can be in different computers or in the networks that we will see later, private or public, it will have different decentralized platforms. To make it decentralized peers, it carry a copy, as we were saying. The layer can be completed copy or a minimal copy required for the start connected or functional to the network. That means that depending on the use case, depending on what kind of information we are going to share with our participants, we are going to define what kind of copy we are going to maintain in the different peers. The blockchain is similar to a permanent book of records that keeps a log of all transactions that have taken place in chronological order. I'm going to try to explain with another example, an easiest one. For me, a very simple example to understand blockchain is as follows. Blockchain technology is like a wedding. And I can imagine your face now saying, why like a wedding? Why this professor is quite crazy. Yeah, it's like a wedding because a wedding is an event where different milestones are taking place. For example, the groom waits in the church, the bride enters in the church, the bride does the mass and marry them, and finally the bride and the groom live smiling and very happily. Each moment has been a lot of participants that they were looking to the process, they were looking what's happening, and they are taking pictures in their brain, and they are taking evidence. And this evidence, they will be recorded. Then in a couple of years, all those participants can certify that this bride and this groom, they were married that day in that church with this priest, and everything is certified with a lot of people. Then, as you can see, the connection I'm trying to do with a process, with the wedding, different peers that is going to be the guest of the wedding, the participants, and the different milestones and information is going to be certified. That is the different evidence that we will see during the wedding. After giving you a little bit of definition, and I hope now you have a little bit more of understanding what is blockchain, I want to give you a little bit of history. Things are changing very, very, very fast. However, everything in life has a history, and blockchain has their own history. It is true that in this slide, I'm starting showing you 2008. However, you have to know that the first time that blockchain actually started emerging it was back in the 1991. Two guys that was called Stuart Harber and Scott Stornetko started working with the first blockchain technology. At first, they wanted to create a cryptography encrypted block of a chain. Moreover, they tried to make it tamper-proof. Even then, they used timestamp for documents to have a full track of all the transactions that they were performing. But it wasn't until 2008 that the real revolution finally came. We don't know exactly if it's a group or a person named Satoshi Nakamoto that came with a new vision for the blockchain. And this time it was the core of a cryptocurrency that all of us we know called Bitcoin. After the introduction of the Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto finally he released the Bitcoin white paper. White paper, I don't know if you know what is a white paper. White paper is like a business plan where you are telling people regarding the project, okay, regarding what is your project about, what you're going to to grow, what is going to be your scalability. You are giving those definitions in order to attract those people. And it's like the Bible of the project. In that case, the white paper of the Bitcoin is the Bible of the Bitcoin. And furthermore, is where he gave all those full details about how the network was going to work. However, in 2010, finally, the first Bitcoin online purchase happened when a user, he was able to buy a pizza with 10,000 Bitcoin. Of course, at that time, the Bitcoin was maybe had a value of 0.002, something like this. It's not same as we are having now. Today in the market is around 19,000. 19,000, 20,000 is moving around those figures. This period in history was by far the most significant as the simple definition of blockchain. In reality, it's important to know that it was an excellent start for the blockchain, but many developers, they felt that it wasn't enough. And that's why they started in 2015, Ethereum officially launched and introduced the new feature called the smart contract that I will explain later on. I would like to explain to you guys that Bitcoin and Ethereum is not the same. Ethereum is a digital asset. Well, Bitcoin, sorry, is a cryptocurrency, and Ethereum is not a cryptocurrency. Ethereum is, we can call it as the highway where a lot of blockchain applications that are going to be used for different use cases. You can see the difference. I mean, with Ethereum, you won't able to pay anything, but with Bitcoin, yes. And in Bitcoin, you won't being able to join with a blockchain application, for example, to certify energy or something like this. And furthermore, as I was explaining, now in 2015, Ethereum was launched and introduced a new feature under what is called a smart contract. And this smart contract became one of the most leading features that could perform various contractual functions. I'm not gonna stop now about what is a smart contract. We will go a little bit deeply a little bit further on the slides. And Ethereum, he managed to gather a massive community of active developers that are still establishing at its true ecosystem. This is very important. I mean, blockchain, as we were explaining on the definition, is about peers. Those peers means ecosystem. Then Ethereum, he was able to create a massive community in 2015 of developers. And this is how blockchain started to grow a little bit faster, not for the Bitcoin part, but for the different applications that we will see later, the difference between use cases on the public network or private network. And also in that time, Hyperledger started out its journey as a blockchain development. Hyperledger is a private network. They have, of course, they are a blockchain network, but different between Ethereum or other layers that we will discuss later. But it wasn't in 2018 that this blockchain technology was massively being implemented in many enterprises, thanks to the blockchain as a service industry. At that moment, companies as IBM or Oracle, they were giving those services. And also Amazon started, and Microsoft also. However, nowadays in 2022, blockchain, this service is provided by Oracle. IBM has decided not to give it anymore in terms of platform. They will give it as a support, and Amazon quite similar. But this blockchain as a service company offer different kind of development environments for company without a knowledge of blockchain. And that helps everyone, as we are doing in Blocknative, is we try to create solutions in order to help company and clients to really not to understand how blockchain is working, but to get profit about the technology. Because we don't have to forget that blockchain is amazing technology, but it's only a tool in order to create new business or to get our business more efficient. And finally, in 2020, a lot of governments facility, they were looking into the blockchain wallet, and they were interested to start to implement it as a digital asset. And this is how we are seeing now they are trying to do a lot of regulation behind that regarding the central bank digital currency. It's something that it will happen in Europe and in a lot of countries. In some countries, they have already a digital currency. For example, in Nigeria, it's called Naira. But in Europe, they are trying to pursue it, and they are working on it. And this is a little bit of a story. Now, how does it work? Okay, it's much complex that I'm trying to focus on this presentation. However, I'm trying to make you as simple as possible. A new user requests a transaction. That means that you call the blockchain network with an API and a smart contract that you want to register something. For example, there is an application now where you can take a picture of something that you really love. For example, if you are a football fan, you had a picture with Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi or whatever player, and you will keep safe and unique this picture, then you can upload on the application. The application, this will request a transaction on the blockchain. That transaction will represent, this transaction will be created, and the block will be broadcasted, and they will be copied to all the different nodes that they will be on the network. A network can be one node, at least 2 or 3 nodes, or thousands of nodes, as I will explain on the different blockchain network. Those nodes will validate the transaction. I mean, that's the amazing thing of the blockchain. Everything that's happened will be copied in different nodes at the same time, and those nodes will validate them. That's why nowadays it's, I'm going to say, impossible, or no one has. They tried and they weren't able to hack it, this technology, because if you want to hack it, a rough blockchain network, you need to hack it maybe thousands and thousands of nodes at the same time. Then it's almost, I'm going to say, it's impossible. Then when the nodes has already validated, according to the consensus method, for example, Bitcoin, they are using the proof of work consensus. That I'm going to explain what is a consensus, the different consensus that we have in the market. After this validation, the node now receive a reward based on their effort in the terms of the proof of work, and the transaction is now complete. Then you will be able to see the transactions happening and recorded on the blockchain network. After explaining how does it work, I'm going to go through the type of blockchain. I think this is very important to understand, because as you will see in the use cases along the lecture, depending on the use case that we are focused on achieving, the type of blockchain will be completely different. Then here, the only thing that I'm trying to give you is a little snapshot of the different type of blockchain that we have. I'm going to explain what are the main different advantages and disadvantages on them. For example, here on this slide, you can see public blockchain, private blockchain, federal blockchain, and hybrid blockchain. I'm going to start explaining public blockchain. Public blockchain is those blockchain where anyone is allowed to join and participate in the consensus. For example, Ethereum is a public blockchain, we call first layer blockchain, and you have some second layer blockchain, as could be Polygon, Matic, Binance, Cardano, all of these. Those layers are fully decentralized and very secure and immutable layer system. This immutable layer system, all those private, they also are. And those transactions are anonymous, but they are transparent to everyone. I mean, they are anonymous in terms that those registers, they will have your wallet. However, you cannot identify that this wallet belongs to Miguel Peck, okay? And why we have this different? Because as I was saying, there is outside, depending on the use case that we want to tackle, the problem that we want to tackle, there is different problems and there are different solutions. Not everyone, including an organization, can use a public chain, a public blockchain. Imagine that you are using in your own corporate business, you have some private document, you are not going to upload it to the blockchain network. This is because, as I'm saying, this cannot make easy aspect of their business public. They do have some critical data, for example, different contracts with their suppliers that you don't want to show. What are the advantages and disadvantages for the public blockchain? As I was saying, the main advantages are that anyone can use the public blockchain. I mean, you need to have some, of course, some skills and some knowledge, but every one of us, at least we can, if you know how to go, you can go through a different website and you can go through this public blockchain. It brings trust among the whole community of users. As we were seeing the consensus, this public blockchain are built with the construction of a lot of users. Then the ecosystem is massive. As we were saying, in 2015, developers of Ethereum, they became massive. Everyone feels incentivized to work towards the betterment of the public network. I mean, every time you are trying to make a node, it depends if you are proof of stake or proof of work. In terms of your proof of work, you are incentivized, you are recognized with a price, with a present in terms of money, or in terms of a new amount of Bitcoin when you are able to finish to create this node. And public blockchain are also secure depending on the number of participant nodes. This is something very interesting regarding the discussions that you can find on the market. If I compare to private blockchain, when you find a blockchain believer, he thinks that private blockchain is not real blockchain. And this is why, because public blockchain, because you have a lot of nodes and you have a lot of ecosystem working on them, they say that it's really a decentralized. And this is true. I agree with this statement, but we don't have to forget that depending the use case that we are going to use, public blockchain makes sense or public blockchain doesn't make sense. And the last advantage is that brings transparency to the whole network, as the available data is available for verification purposes. That doesn't mean that private blockchain doesn't give you transparency, but it is true that this private blockchain, they will give transparency in a specific case, and they will have to allow you to see this transparency. It's not the same as the public that every one of us, we can see as now, for example, the value of Ethereum, the value of Bitcoin, etc., etc. But they have disadvantages, and some of them are quite interesting. The lack of speed. I mean, it's very, sometimes could be very horrible. The speed that maybe you need to have, they are not able to give you that speed. There could be problems in scalability, and this is something very, very important, because nowadays, when you are creating a startup and when you're creating use cases, the main adjective or the main focus on your business is that we want to create a startup with the scalability in terms of earning more money in a couple of years if we are able to sell and we are success. And if the private blockchain or this blockchain doesn't give you this scalability, it won't allow you to have this success that you were expecting. That's why sometimes, and you will see in the lessons when we are going to talk about the use cases, sometimes it's very smart to use, for example, a private blockchain, and for specific things, you register in a public blockchain. Having said that, and the consensus method could consume a lot of energy. This is a big discussion that is happening with the proof of work and Bitcoin, because they are consuming a lot of energy in their computers with a lot of computers a lot of times. Is a non-sustainable method, and this is why it's sometimes you are creating a use case for sustainability, but you are using those blockchain that they are not sustainable. No, it's controversial and doesn't make sense. And if you believe in sustainability, you need to also work in a sustainable model. Private blockchain. Private blockchain, it's a single organization that will have the authority over the network, but I won't say only a single organization. It can be an ecosystem of 2, 3, 4, 5, but it is true that normally one of them, they will be the one who will have most authority compared to the others. The output that you can take is faster, and the consume, because of the consensus, is sustainable compared to other ones, and they offer privacy. Okay, this is very important, as I was explaining before. Depending on the use case, you will need more or less privacy. But I always said that blockchain is a tool, and digitalize your company, it's something that you need to do in order to be more efficient, to reduce cost, to reduce time. Then when you will be able to digitalize your processes is when you are doing maybe the same thing in physical and offline, but you want to do it in an online perspective, but more efficient. And that's why sometimes private blockchain is very useful. And they simplify data handling process, but did not open to everyone. I mean, as I was saying, if you are making a use case, when you decide to register the evidence, you can register if you wanted to make it public or not public. And if you decided that those evidence will be public, then you will be able to show, for example, to a third party that can be a regulator, it can be an auditor, or those kind of third parties, or the simple final client, as we can be all of us. For example, imagine to go to a supermarket and you want to see the origin of the watermelon that you have bought. This will allow you, and that means that those companies, they will use a private blockchain. They won't use a private blockchain. They won't use a public one, because it's more efficient for the business. However, they will give you the opportunity to see the traceability of the product, of the process. Then the advantages of those networks are faster, they have scalability, and the consumption of technology and energy are much less compared to the public one. Disadvantages, as I explained, the blockchain believers, they say that this is not a truly decentralized ecosystem. Yes, I agree. However, it could be more interesting. And depending on the nodes that they are working on those networks, then the security, you can lose a little bit of security, because of course, as much nodes as you have, to hacker it will be much difficult. Then you only have 3 nodes, the difficulty is going to continue being quite impossible. However, if you have 100 or 1,000 nodes, then the issue will be for the hackers much higher. And after, we have 2 different other blockchains that they are not very common, that you can find on the market. Those are the federated blockchains and the hybrid blockchains. Those federated blockchains are multiple organizations influencing the blockchain network. That can be those blockchains that are government can be behind that, or maybe a consortium, yes, between a government and some companies. This is decentralized, extremely fast, and is scalable. This works a little bit as a private one. And the network regulation preserves security and privacy, because as we were saying, those further blockchain, they will be used for very specific use case and for the government or something like this, then of course they would be very regulated and the privacy is very important. The advantages of those kind of federate or consumption blockchain, as we call in the market, they offer better customizability and control over the resources. They are more secure and have better scalability, and they are also more efficient compared to the public ones. And as I said, normally in order to join the blockchain, you need a specific access that will be given by the consortium. The disadvantages are a little bit similar if we compare to the private one. Of course, even though it's a very secure blockchain, it can be compromised due to the members' integrity. It's less transparent if we compare to the public one, and it is based a lot in the regulation, and censorship can have a huge impact on the network. And it's also less anonymous compared to other type of blockchain. And finally, we have those hybrid blockchain. I have to be fair, I didn't see it a lot, maybe 1 or 2 times in 1 or 2 specific cases. Those hybrid blockchains are authoritative access only, with certain elements are private. It's very flexible, control over the data, and is kept public and private, decentralized, regulated, and highly scalable system. I'm going to focus on the advantages. They work in a closed ecosystem without the need to make everything public. The rules can be changed according to the needs. For example, in the public one, the rules are there. You cannot change it. Hybrid networks are also immune to 51% attacks, and it offers privacy while they still connect with a private network. And that's we can try to use, but I have to be fair, I never seen. I prefer to use a private blockchain as hyperlayer fabric to do the process, and after we create a bridge if we want to register something in the public, as I will let you know in the use cases that we will see on the future. And to conclude, here you have a little bit a summary. You have public without permission, with permission, without permission. And the most important thing is, if you are thinking of B2C, I would say B2C use cases, I will say you will use more public ones. If you are thinking in B2B use cases, you will go more for hyperlayer fabric. R3 Corda is more for financial system, and Core hyperlayer are the ones that they are fighting for the B2B business. However, from my point of view, from my expertise and things I'm seeing in the market, hyperlayer fabric is most of the report of business success story correspond to this platform in the hyperlayer fabric one. Then I want you guys to remain this sentence. I mean, depending on the use case, you will use one or another network, and mixing them is possible. Okay. And here also I wanted you to know a little bit of the main characteristics of the private, public, and consortium blockchain. For me, the most important thing is the consensus. The organization is based, this is public, this consortium is with the select nodes, as we were explaining. But for me, it's the efficiency. The efficiency, as you can see here, it's high in the private blockchain. However, in the private blockchain and the public is quite low. And also the most important thing is the cost. Okay, when you are performing a use case for a company or for your own company, you need to you need to be success, no? You need to earn money. Then you need to have a business plan, and this business plan, depending on which blockchain you will use, this cost could be very significant. For example, when you are using public blockchain, I've seen a cost that is very variable, and this cost, I've seen it from 50 euros, from 5 euros to 1,000 euros. Okay, because for example in Ethereum, during these years, it depends also, it's like offer and demand. Then those guys that are developing those nodes, they will get those different transactions that they would like to see to register on the blockchain. Then as much as you pay, faster they will register your block. Then sometimes those costs could be very, very high. Then depending on your business, you will pay too much gas for the network than money that you would earn selling your product. And that's kind of problems you don't see it in a private blockchain, because the cost is much low. Okay, and for example, nowadays, Hyperledger Fabric is a blockchain from Linux Foundation, which is free. It's an open source. Of course, you need someone that you need to deploy it, but you can deploy it on your different cloud and your different architecture, and you can still use it. Then you will pay for the cloud and for the data, for data storage, but you won't pay for the blockchain. Then you can register as much transaction as you want, of course, depending on the data storage that you will have on your architecture, but the cost of the blockchain will be much low if we compare to the public network, that every registration on the public network you will have to pay. Okay, now after having, I think, a very deeply understanding of how many blockchains do we have and the difference between them, I'm going to try to explain a little bit of those consensus. Those consensus are these kind of rules that those blockchain networks are working. We have 4 main consensus. This proof of work, as we were saying, is the most popular consensus algorithm. It is also the most inefficient way to achieve consensus in a blockchain. And it works by asking the miners to solve complex mathematical problems. And when they have already solved it, this hash is solved and the block is mined and the transaction is validated at the same time. This kind of proof of work consensus, it has had a lot of controversial discussions on the market because of the lack of sustainability, because of the big consumption of energy. Now the second consensus, more popular, and I'm gonna say more popular is also because Ethereum is more popular, for example, than Hyperledger Fabric, the private ones, is proof of stake. This consensus is working by staking coins in a wallet. Those nodes that have staked their coins will have their say when a consensus needs to be achieved. The good thing about this consensus is that it's not computational power hungry. That means that they are not using a lot of energy. You don't need to consume a lot of energy then to be less sustainable and to increase the dioxide carbon. And that later on we have the delegate proof of stake that is similar to the proof of stake, and we have the proof of authority. And it is used for the entirely centralized system. We call it centralized system, but it's the private blockchain, as I explained before. This means that a proof account that has to be chosen by the organization do the validation across the network. When we deployed a private blockchain, the best part, as we will see later, is to deploy a node for each company that they are working on the process or they are working on the ecosystem that we want to trace. However, sometimes because of the cost or because of the strategy of the market, it's quite impossible that all of the participants on the ecosystem, they have their own nodes. Then that's why they are saying that sometimes maybe you have 10, 15, 20 participants working on a use case, but maybe you only have 5 different nodes. This doesn't mean that they are not secure, of course, and there is no blockchain, but it's a different and more centralized system. This is also, in order you understand, is, for example, when you are investing on cryptocurrency, you can invest in 2 different ways. You can go to Binance or to those. Well, I will explain later. Okay, now I want to give you the main capabilities of the blockchain. As all of you know, or I hope you could already see during my first explanation, is that there is a decentralization, distribution, encryption, immutability, and tokenization. That's, I'm going to say, the 5 main capabilities that gives this powerful to those technology. Decentralization, that as we were explaining, is that there will be different nodes, that all the information will be, they have all the information, they won't have a single entity controlling the majority of the nodes. This distribution are because there's blockchain participants, they are able to be connected in the same network. Those encryption, as every time we register something, for example, in a process of traceability of agriculture, maybe you are tracing a document, this document will be traced, but we will create a hash. This hash is around 50 different figures that will be registered on the blockchain, and that's why you have the encryption of this document. Immutability, it's easy, as we said quite a lot during the presentation. It's a technology that cannot be hacked, and then everything you register in the blockchain will be there forever. However, you can change. I mean, when I want to explain that, because a lot of people are confused, is no, but you told me that I cannot, it's immutability, then I cannot change. No, of course, if you made an error, you can change. However, you will see the traceability of your error. For example, if I have to post an invoice of 1,000 euros and I post 100 because I made a mistake on the blockchain, I will see the post of the 1,000 and later on the 100. I can change it. However, the blockchain, they will keep me all the history about the transaction that I've made. And tokenization. Tokenization is a capability that the blockchain is giving to you. This value, I mean, tokenization that you won't use every time that you're using blockchain, but depending on the use case. For example, if you are doing NFTs is a tokenization. You are creating something unique, and this tokenization, this token, you have different kind of token. This is important. You have something that we call utility tokens or security tokens, and those token, depending on the use case and the purpose of the token, they will allow you to do something different. And also, because of this tokenization is the way like a blockchain represents and enables those digital business assets along the network and the business.